right. Hello, everybody. This is Tom Randall. I've got my partner in crime here, Dennis Reiner, on the other line. And because we're in two separate spots, I always do my little disclaimer that I might be blowing your headset off and Dennis might be quiet or vice versa. So sorry in advance about that. But I've had the pleasure, if you haven't been on these webinars before with us, I've had the pleasure of working with Dennis for years and years. I've been with GoldenCare. I'm in my 27th year here, and worked with Dennis pretty much throughout those years, on and off. But lately, we've been working so close together with this short-term care initiative. And it's been my pleasure, and it's been a privilege for you folks. Let me tell you, because Dennis has a lifetime of sales knowledge and great expertise in how to go out and present not only short-term care, but a bevy of different products as well. But he's going to be a huge part of what we're doing today. So Dennis, I don't know if you want to say hi.
Hello, everyone. Thanks again for those of you that were on our earlier webinar. This is double duty for Tom and I, which is not unusual. We did an OmniFlex webinar this morning, and so we're back at it with this other topic on plan design. So thanks for joining us.
You bet. And again, as we go through this, every time, if you've been on a couple of my webinars, you've heard of it already, but I always stress this, and I'll make this short today because we want to have some fun with plan designs. But the reason we're on this call is obvious. You know what? There's a lot of gray hair in America. We got baby boomers turning age 65 and 70 faster than you can count. And 70% of people over age 65 are going to need some type of extended care. Married couples, tell you what, one of the two of them 90% of the time. So the stats don't lie. People need this type of coverage. And unfortunately, 90% of the folks out there haven't even had a discussion about extended care. So that last stat there is just one that's kind of scary, that when COVID was on and people were locked in those facilities, there's a reason we say we don't sell nursing home insurance, right? We sell people policies that cover assisted livings and nursing homes, but we keep them at home as long as we can, and that's what most people buy for. 80% of the people prefer to have their care at home. So we'll talk more about that as we get into plan design. But again, I start every one of these webinars with this slide because this is what it's all about. If you help more people, you're going to be more successful yourself, and you're going to feel good about the fact that, boy, if you don't do it, who else is? You know what? You got to go out and help people when you can. So there's a lot of things we're going to talk about as we design these plans. Who pays for home care and all those different activities of daily living, and then with the assisted living, the skilled nursing care for the catastrophic cases. If they're healthy enough, we certainly want to get them those full-blown short-term care plans that we'll talk about a little bit today as well. And we've had lots of training. If you're on this and you're new to this, we're doing 30 different live trainings on product design, how to use the e-app, how to go out and start the conversation. And this one is on plan design and choices to kind of help you maneuver around that side of it. We have some tools that'll help you. Dennis, I don't know, I'm basically going to hit on the fact, I know we kind of put this together, kind of deciding which way the conversation would go and when, because it doesn't need to have a set form. But if you want to talk a little bit about the number one ability of these plans is maybe availability, and I have both maps on here coming up, and then we can talk about the fact that we can design plans that are big and small and the cost of care. So I don't know if you want to jump in on that.
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. No matter which plan you select today, whether it's a comprehensive short-term care plan, a skinny down version of a short-term care plan, or the standalone home health care options, and even a prepaid option that we have that's a non-insurance solution that's in all 50 states. The key is everything does start and stop with underwriting. So it really doesn't matter that you've designed the perfect plan, because with that perfect plan, it may carry a perfect premium. And you need to know, are you in front of that perfect prospect? And it may be that you're leading too soon because you didn't necessarily look at state availability, you didn't consider the underwriting, and all you were doing was just designing a plan. So all of these kind of work in concert together. And you can see here on the map, we've got GTL, we have Manhattan. Manhattan has a new version, which is their Home Healthcare Select. Their legacy version is still in some of the states that you see listed. That True Freedom, which is that prepaid healthcare plan that I mentioned. So you can see we cover the map, and we have a solution no matter what state. We don't always have a a short-term care solution, but we do have a solution. And you can see that was the home care map. This is the state availability for the short-term care products. The GTO Recover Cash is in 35 states. I just lost the map here, Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, decided to play hardball on us.
That's okay. I think I know it by heart anyway, but OmniFlex, we're in 31. We just announced on our previous call that Indiana is going to be coming on. I was just teasing Tom on the previous call, like, hey, should we say anything about the next state to be 32? And Tom has cursor hovering over Indiana, so it was pretty apparent for those on the call. But Wallaby just came out of the chutes, and because they're new as of August 19th, they're only in 10 states, and they'll be adding their states in 5-state increments. And so you can kind of see the combination of where all the products are. And again, on our short-term care, our integrityshorttermcare.com site, you'll also see the individual state availability as well for these products. But the key is, again, back to underwriting, and it's back to state availability. And then we'll get into this cost of care if you want to handle that, Tom, or if you want me to continue.
No, that's great, Dennis. And again, this is one of those things that you have to hit on all these little points to remind you, if you're new to short-term care and long-term care especially, but anything with extended care. One of the things that we really stress as the sales side of it is, the availability of what state it's in obviously is number one. You want to be talking to somebody and have a product available for them. We have that covered with our Integrity bevy of products that we have for the short-term care initiative. The next thing you look at is overall cost, so you have an idea of it. And we have links that will get you if you want to go into that. You don't need to get that specific with your clients, though. That's one of the things Dennis and I are going to really try to show you today, is that we know the costs are out there. Every product out there pushes on the fact that depending on where you live in the country, it's not cheap to get care. We have the facilities, especially, you can see the numbers on the screen there. I won't read them to you on this call, but that's obviously something you need to know and you want to know. And if you're interested in what it is in your area, they have these calculators that we'll have a link to that you can go on there and see exactly how much it costs in your spot. But what we're going to show you today is that the home healthcare is the same way. I've segued back. Home healthcare is the same way. It's expensive, not as bad as facilities, but it can be expensive. So what we're going to try to show you today is that even though the costs are expensive and there could be these catastrophic claims, what we want to show you is that we can get that done with short-term care, and we can do some amazing things. I mean, here's an example, and I'm going to go through this ultra fast, but we went through our training on one of these talking about how powerful these plans are. And if you look at it, this just happens to be the OmniFlex plan for Manhattan Life, but all these short-term care plans are similar on what they can offer as far as the facility and the home care. But if I were to go out and load this plan up, and I'm working to a point here, so bear with me, is I can load this up to be a tremendously big plan, right? I can do $400 per day facility. Some of the companies go up to $500. You can go 12, so $400 would be $12,000 a month. So one claim, if you did a full year plan on a short-term care plan, could give you $144,000 worth of benefit just on the facility side. When you add in the home health care, $300 per day, $9,000 per month, I can get $108,000 from that. So that's $108,000 per claim. If you add those two together, $252,000 for one claim, right? That's without inflation. Okay. And then I'm not going to talk about restoration today, but policy limits, you can get even higher because of restoration, which is really strong in these plans. And definitely you'll want to learn about that. But now the blue band I'm showing you is if I add inflation in there, if I add inflation, now those numbers, we have simple inflation that doubles, and most of the plans out there, Wallaby has the inflation available in GTL. But with OmniFlex, for this example, because we use this for an OmniFlex training, that $400 would double to $800 with our simple inflation down the line. So now you're talking $24,000 a month worth of coverage, or $288 for one claim potentially. Same thing with the home care, $18,000 a month up to $216 for one claim. So all I'm showing you this for is to show you that you can pack a punch with these plans, and you can get $504,000 worth of coverage, right? That's in one claim, and if you double that, over $1 million. So my point with this is to show you that you can really pack a punch. 55-year-old, it's $90.98. If you're a 65-year-old Medicare age, I had the number written down before, it's like $219 a month. So it's not free, but I'll tell you what, you can pound out some darn nice plans with these policies if you want to. Okay. And again, the reason I showed this was to lead to the point. And again, I'm not stressing OmniFlex as much as saying any plan you have can pound a really nice premium out there for the people. Okay. So the key that we're going to show you in a couple minutes as we get into different plan designs is that not only can you pack a punch if you talk to your people and they say, boy, I'm so glad you asked me about that. My parents were in a facility and we spent a lot of money and we really got ourselves into trouble where we would like to have a full-blown plan that does a lot of things. You can do it with short-term care plans. Some of your clients honestly will think that short-term care only pays for 90 days. So that's one of the things we want to get you over. That's why we use extended care a lot, because we want people to know these can be super robust plans. Now, that was a long-winded way of getting over to what I was talking about before, saying we can also scale these plans way, way down. So we can get back to this cost of care and realize that we don't have to cover every part of that, right? We don't have to cover everything. They're going to have extra cash on hand. They're going to have the ability to do some things. And these are not reimbursement type plans. These are indemnity benefits. So if you're having a $300 worth of home health aid benefit and you only have $169 a day, or maybe they only come in for an hour for $50 a day, you can still keep that full benefit, whatever you sell to people. So lots of flexibility here. You don't have to solve every problem. A Chevy gets by just as good as a Cadillac a lot of times. And we can keep this plan affordable for virtually anybody you're sitting in front of with one of our options. So Dennis, I know I got on a little bit of pulpit there, but I want to make sure we stress the flexibility before we even dived in.
Well, Tom, and I just want to jump in for a quick second because you're bringing back up about the cost here. And it's different when someone progresses and they go into a facility. They're pretty much in that facility, but it may be short-term too, because it could be a lot of the conditions that they will cause them to go on claim with short-term care are different than long-term care, not having to have a 90-day requirement. But importantly, back to the home care, when we're talking about these plans, remember home care is intermittent. People don't typically get care every day. They might be getting, some of those services that Tom just highlighted just a couple days a week. And so these plans can also stretch out, even though we talk about a 360-day benefit period. But remember, they can stretch because of the nature of how they're utilized.
Absolutely. And one of the things, Dennis, you talked already and alluded to it, is that these plans are, the number one is where they're available. The number two, now knowing that you can build a huge plan or a small plan, but the first thing we got to figure out is, can we get a plan in place at all? And that's the underwriting. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday and in a couple of our previous webinars about finding out, if the health is there as part of the sales process. And we have a lot of tools available to you. I'll show you the site. I'm not going to jump around again right this second, I don't think, but we have our Integrity STC site that has the InstaPivot tool available if you're interested in using that. But basically this tool, and I can't go into training today on it, but this tool has every question that's asked on any one of these underwriting of all of our products here for Integrity Short-Term Care Initiative, all the way from True Freedom, that prepaid home care plan that you might have heard about already, to Manhattan's home care, GTL's home care, and then the OmniFlex plan for Manhattan, the Wellbe plan, and the GTL Recover Cash. So this has every product that we're talking about in this initiative, plus every, oops, I can't do that on a screen show. Sorry, I thought I had a live tool there. Scroll down. Every condition you might have here that you would possibly hit is in this tool. And you can go up here and select by keywords, and it'll find exactly, if you type in MS or multiple sclerosis, it'll jump right to that and show you exactly which plans will cover that and which won't. You can also click on your state that you're talking to if you want to talk about availability. And if you click in Alabama, it'll show you green for all the ones that are available in Alabama. So this is just a slide, so I can't do it live. But basically, this tool is very strong. Some of you will want to use it. Some of you are going to say, you know what? I don't want to get that deep into that. And we know the way a lot of you are going to work. If you're going to say, you know what, I like Manhattan Life, I use them for my Medicare, or you're going to say, I like Wellaby, I use Wellaby a lot. The key we're trying to show you today too is, if you like GTL, Recover Cash, and the GTL Home Care Plan, that's fine. The key is getting something in place, starting the conversation and getting something in their hands to protect them. Okay, so some of you will have your favorites, and that's fine, but go by availability and then underwriting. And then at that point, we can see where we're at. So to get to underwriting, and sorry to monopolize this part, Dennis, but to get to that part, some of you will use just the applications. This is a screenshot again of the application for OmniFlex. There's your knockout questions. They're very simple and broad. I'm not going to get into them today because this is a small part of what we're doing today, but very easy for you while you're on a screen share or talking to somebody to glance down at the app and say, well, OmniFlex is available in that state. It's pretty flexible underwriting. I'm going to look quick to see if they qualify for a plan. If they do, great. The second part of that application for OmniFlex finds out if you can get a full-blown plan or limited plan. If you go on our product training, you'll learn more about that. Okay, very simple. Some of you will look at the Wellaby app and do the same thing. Here's the Wellaby questions. Ask those questions, have it in front of you, find out if they qualify. Then you can know, I can go right to the application at Wellaby. Okay, so basically showing you, if you don't want to use every one of our tools, you can use some of them, and you're going to find out a real easy way to be able to go in there and decide which product is going to be best. Does that make sense, Dennis? I'll let you go ahead and follow from that, and then we'll decide where we go from here. Might be on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute for just a quick second. Tom, yesterday when we were having the Start the Conversation webinar, we went through a little bit of this in terms of how you set the stage. And what's important to keep in mind in terms of in plan design is Tom kind of is giving you the formula that we've talked about so far: availability, underwriting, making sure, because even though it may be your favorite carrier, it may not be the carrier that they're going to get approved by. So that's why that InstaPivot tool is so important. But you can see here in this example that we just put together just to show you kind of a snapshot of kind of a good, better, best approach. And so here you have on the left side, you have ages 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. This is all based on the $100 a day on the Classic. That's a 360-day benefit period with a 20-day elimination. And you can see the Premier is $200 a day, and the Ultimate's $400 a day with $300 a day for home health care. And the Premier had the $200 a day for home health care, and the Classic had $100. So you can see how affordable these premiums are as you look at the various age bands, and having something like this in advance so that you have an idea. If you're working with a 62-year-old, you can go in. But part of what will help you to be successful is the preparation, preparing in advance for when let's say on Wednesday today that you've got 3 appointments and the age of the clients that you're going to see. So, the night before or the day before, somehow in advance of the call, you just prepare a little cheat sheet so that when you're in there and you're talking, if the opportunity does present itself, you'll be able to go a little bit further. If the opportunity is only just to tee up the idea of coming back for an extended care conversation, you have that ability as well. I want to also just maybe, Tom, take a minute and pause here as we're talking about rates. And I know we're going to show some case studies to give some example, but sometimes in our business, and I know, Tom, you know this because we've trained literally thousands of agents and individually and collectively. And that sometimes as agents, we tend to talk in a vocabulary all of our own. And so I find that when we're talking to consumers, we can't use words that consumers don't understand, such as elimination period or even benefit period. So here's just a little cheat sheet for you that you may want to write down. And as you're deciding on the plan design and then you want to present it, is use words like how much. So the $100 a day is the how much, or the $200 a day, or the $400 a day. The how long with short-term care is a lot easier than long-term care because the benefit period is just that 1 year, as Tom said, that could extend to 2 years. But nearly half of all the home care claims today are under 1 year. So you've got a solution here that's going to work for many of the folks that you're talking to. How soon, although listed on this visual here, we're not factoring in adding an inflation rider, which, as Tom indicated, Manhattan has the simple inflation that's a 2 times. Once it doubles, it stops. Wallaby has got inflation you can add on both the facility and the home care side. And with GTL, it's even a step further, because GTL only has the inflation on the facility, but they also have, in addition to simple, 5% compound. So that's how fast. So how much, how long, how soon is the elimination period? Again, most of these plans today are sold with either a 0-day or 20-day deductible or waiting period. Just use terminology that your clients will understand, because you don't want to go through, and even though you know this and you are in the business, sometimes we, again, talk in a way that we think they understand, but they really don't, and they don't like to admit that they don't understand. So that's why they always like to say, hey, I want to think about it. And we're going to cover some of that even tomorrow, Tom, on our next webinar that some may want to join on how to overcome objections.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks, Dennis. And that's, looking at this chart, this is an actual chart that Dennis used when he went and trained a call center. And it was a call center that was doing health insurance. So they were out there fishing for these types of protection. But, they were brand new. They'd never sold short-term care. This happened to be OmniFlex, the chart that you're seeing. But we can create charts like this for Wellaby, GTL, and you can have those charts. And we're going to put those on the site. I made a note, Dennis, to make sure we do that soon, because I really see value in this for the fact that, like Dennis saying, plan ahead. But even if you just have it in your portfolio, or have it, whether you're doing live driving around, or if you have it on your computer screen, and just to be able to talk to people about it and say, I want to make sure you have your extended care. If you go to our sales training, you'll see how easy it is to start that conversation and to turn people's heads. And then this chart, think how valuable it would be if I was talking to one of you on the phone and said, hey, Tyler, what do you think of this? Is this something that you and your wife have taken care of, I hope? Okay. And, I know you're 65 because we worked on your Medicare today. We have different simple plans and concepts, and your wife, I know, is 67. So it'd probably be, if we went to a basic plan that does a great job, it's still $3,000 a month of coverage, which is a nice plan for you. Would it be affordable to see that you'd be like $55 and she'd be somewhere in between there, probably about $60? Does that seem like something that you guys could handle? Or again, because your client a little bit to know what kind of affordability and maybe even what kind of taste they have for it. So this chart can do wonders for you, even if somebody's not at those exact age breaks or whatever, or you haven't printed out a best case scenario, an exact quote for them the day before. So don't forget the power of a simple chart like this, just to find out where you might have an affluent client that you're going to say, we can get you covered with these mammoth, really strong plans, and it's about $305 each. And you might find out in a hurry where they're like, oh no, I'm not going anywhere near that. If anything, right now, we're a little bit insurance poor. We'd be more comfortable, sitting in the $200 range. Then you can easily look in this chart and know that you can still get some good coverage. So just want to make sure I brought that up as well. Dennis, do you want me to go right to the short-term care integrity site, or go to one of the quoting sites, or just go to the case study, or what do you think? I think
we should go to the case study, but Tom, I want to pick back up, because you brought up the call center, and what's amazing about that opportunity to go down and to train this group that writes a lot of other business with us and some other product in the ancillary space, but they've never written any short-term care, is actually they do this all over the phone with no screen sharing. And so it was important for them to have that sheet that Tom just said is kind of a cheat sheet. But it's amazing. One of the individuals has written, and Tom, you might remember the exact number, but it's well north of $75,000 of premium in just the last few months, just by the fact that they're in front of the same individuals that you folks are in front of, as far as the same age group. They're a Medicare call center. So that's a great opportunity. And let's just maybe pick up on this case study. And Tom, if you want, I'll handle the first one, and then you can pick up on the second one.
Let me know if you want me
okay.
to go over to a site or anything. Okay.
Yeah, certainly. I think we should afterwards. So this is a good example about when you're talking to your clients, you might even find that some of your clients may have purchased long-term care. And it wasn't you, perhaps, that sold it to them, but someone else did. So they may have thought, "Hey, I'm already taken care of," and they very well may have a good solution. But to show you how flexible these plans are, and to show you again how you can find opportunity, here's a scenario where David, in this example, did purchase long-term care, and he was concerned about that 90-day elimination because he had a family member that got into an automobile accident that needed care. And so as a result of that, David decided that this could be something that could face him at some point. And as a result, David wanted to understand if there's any way that he could kind of offset that 90-day elimination period that was in his long-term care plan. So here's a quick example of where you're trying to perhaps create a bridge where you could use a short-term care solution to actually help offset his 90-day elimination on his traditional long-term care plan. So $100 a day, if we chose a benefit period that not is our normal 360, but just the 90-day, because that's what he was most concerned about, and we put a first dollar coverage, 0-day elimination, and let's say we match that up on the home care side with $100 a day with 0-day elimination. So first of all, let's do the math and figure out how much money are we talking about. We're talking about $9,000 a month on the facility side and $9,000 a month on the home care side. And what's that premium for this 65-year-old? You'd be amazed. That premium is only a little bit over $21 a month. So Tom, we have, when we talk about plan design, there's a solution for every situation that agents out there may face. And if we had beefed up that plan a little bit further to $300 a day, same 90-day elimination with the 0-day and $300 a day on the home care side, that would have only been $57 a month. So I know you're kind of navigating around to show some examples of that. And there it is, the $21.55 that we just talked about on that $100 a day example.
And again, that was just showing OmniFlex. Any of the policies that we have would work. We just are showing different ones, so we don't show 3 for every single case study. So we're not showing favorites by any stretch, just showing different examples.
Perfect.
Can we go on to the next one?
Yeah, I think, why don't you take that, Tom? And again, you can kind of take the other end of the spectrum here with this case study with Barbara. Yeah,
Barbara is one that when you talk to her afterwards and you say, you know what, we wanted to check in to see where you were sitting. And she said, I really don't know if I want to go through the extensive underwriting. I don't think that I could get through long-term care underwriting. I did a little bit of research on the internet, and I really have some need for some care though, and some protection, because I do see the value of this. And I'm glad you asked me about extended care. So with Brenda, we went the opposite extreme, and this is that full-blown part that we talked about, where we say, she's healthy enough to get through, where long-term care ran for the hills a long time ago, but some of these short-term care plans definitely could cover a huge spectrum. I don't know what percentage you'd say, but I would say of long-term care declines, you can get at least 60 or 70% of them covered on these short-term care plans. On the comprehensive short-term care plans. So there's some really nice opportunities there to help people who are on the fringe on their health and have a little bit of issues. And again, using our tools, you can find out where she would fit in. But in this example, we used a female 65-year-old, just had her a single, non-tobacco. These are unisex rates, but $400 facility benefits. So again, 4 times 3, $12,000 a month for facility. And a full year with that. We did use a 20-day elimination on the facility. And with $300 home care first day coverage, and again, this happens to be OmniFlex again, I believe. So this one, yeah, it is OmniFlex. So this one has the fast 50 in there too, so she could have family members help her out. So with this plan, you can see pretty strong. The full quote there, I got to remember what she is. I have to cheat and look, but you got the notes there, Dennis.
He's a 65-year-old female. The premium was $193, Tom, a month, I believe.
Yep, that sounds right. I'm showing it here. So this one is Barbara, and with this one, 65-year-old, so it's $200 per month for her. And remember, you know, a little bit of a segue just to show you the power of these short-term care plans. Even if she was healthy enough to get the coverage, if she could have got long-term care, for example, this is one of those examples that you look at, and I can get you comparable coverage on the long-term care side for a 65-year-old, and she would have paid about $600 per month for that same amount of coverage. So it really shows the power of these short-term care plans, the way they're designed now. They're so strong that you can really help some people. And most of the time, it's not even an issue of versus long-term care, because these people couldn't get long-term care because of their health anyway. But this is a good example to show you the real power of these short-term care plans. And again, Wellaby and GTL would be the same type of deal where they'd be very strong. Anything else on that?
The shorter the benefit period factors into that, but also remember what Tom said, the unisex rates, the gender-based pricing today in long-term care, where the female rates are substantially higher. So this is really a win-win situation.
Absolutely. And again, we're going to go in, if we have time today, and show you, jump on the sites and show you just how easy. And tell me, Dennis, when do you think we want to do that? Because I know we're at 12:32 now, so we got 15 minutes, but we want to be careful.
I think, Tom, they probably get it. This was just a GTL example, similar concept. All we're trying to show you, again, it doesn't really matter the carrier, whether it's Wellaby, whether it's GTL, whether it's OmniFlex. What you can do, the flexibility with all these plans, because the plan designs are very similar. You can either load them up or you can trim them down to fit whatever the budget is. But this is an example, Tom, with John, where we're adding in, and I believe John was younger. I don't have that right in front of me. I thought it was 45.
He's a young
45, yes. And this was to show you the power of when you can get to folks where that compound inflation is going to be a big factor. And that $200 a day benefit that he starts with a 360-day benefit period, remember, the inflation is only on the facility side, although we did load up the home care to $1,200 a week. That in this example, that $200 is going to double in 15 years. That's the power of 5% compound. And so remember, again, on who you're in front of. If your client is a 75-year-old and you're helping that client may have a son or daughter that wants to also plan ahead, and it will factor in. So you may be using one carrier for mom or dad who is your Medicare client, and you may be coming back around and using a different carrier, especially if you want to take advantage of that 5% compound inflation that GTL has. That's just a quick example, Tom, of how flexible the plans are, and really how affordable that inflation is in comparison to long-term care. If, as you said about Barbara and that $600 a month, that inflation cost would be significantly higher if you would add that in a traditional long-term care. And absolutely, the GTL does have a little nuance with having a one-time cash benefit. We're not really getting into the product side because we've already trained on the GTL Recover Cash, but this is just a case study.
Yeah. And again, this is advanced stuff that we're teaching. Like this is finding the niche. So we're really keying in on it. If somebody says, John says, oh, I really want this plan to grow over time with the compound, et cetera. But remember, some of that stuff is day two for you guys in Medicare, where you're going to be keeping it simple. And that's one of the reasons that I keep going back to saying it doesn't matter. Look first at the underwriting and availability state-wise, and then whatever plan you use is fine. They're all going to do a great job for them. So I want to make sure you know that I don't want you leaving this webinar and thinking, well, boy, now I have to know every one of these plans and every part of every one of these plans inside and out. Because the key is it doesn't have to be that hard, because these plans, I've been doing this long enough to know, you'll be surprised. Any policy you put in place that's affordable and that person feels good about, you've done them a service, because these plans can do great things for them. So let's just talk broad on these niches, and then we'll jump over to the sites. Dennis, do you think can you cover these just in case, or do you
Yeah,
think
no,
need to?
I think Tom, yeah, again, one of the things you're going to bump into is in our previous training, we talked about utilization at claim time, where on the long-term care space, with the plan that we designed for Mutual Omaha, where 70% of the people started with a on a home care benefit, and they stayed at home. And so here, one of the great things is if you're trying to have a couple sale, one may be healthy, one may be unhealthy. And so normally when you end up in that unhealthy spouse, that typically drives the healthy spouse to say, well, if my spouse can't have it, then I don't want it either. And so the great thing about the Willoughby solution is that we have the opportunity to solve for both of those. And Tom, you may want to pick up on that, or we may want to just move quickly into the site, because I know we are getting a little bit short on time.
You bet. Yeah, let's move into the site. And again, what we're trying to let you guys know is that as an agent out there selling Medicare or life or whatever else policies you might be selling, I'm sure most people on this are Medicare. We know that we want you to do what you do every day, do it well. Do what you do. Close the sale, close the MA sale, close the Med Sup sale. Then ask that additional question we talk about in our sales trainings. And our goal is, we have some train the trainer seminars that we put on, that we're working with our integrity partner shops and our GoldenCare team here. When we talk to our agents, we have come with some of our agents on this call maybe. When we talk to you guys, we say, if you want to, we want to make sure you're helping people. So if you're going to a Medicare appointment tomorrow, you can contact us and let us know. And we're trying to get that point where, I got Tyler from New Horizons. We're trying to get to the point where we have a couple people in their shop who we say, let us spend some extra time, train them on really hardcore how to go about and find the right product. And then they can maybe help you out and say, by the way, I'm going to close on a couple Medicare sales today for a couple 65-year-olds or this age, and can you give me some ideas? And they can help you as well. So hopefully Tyler doesn't get mad at me and hang up, because I saw that he was on the call. But I just basically am thinking that's kind of the goal, is we want to make sure whatever happens, don't think that this is so confusing that it scares you away and go, oh, you know what, I don't even want to try to use this, because we have the tools available for you. There's going to be links right inside here, how to go to the enrollment sites. Here's Willoughby. And if I really quick, I might have to do a password here, but if I really quick go on Manhattan, these are really simple things to do as far as quick quotes as well. So this is Willoughby. GTL has a different login that I'm not going to mess with today just for time's sake. But GTL has a real easy site that you can go to and quote the short-term care plans as well. But if we go to, we'll do the launch because this takes a couple extra seconds to get loaded. Dennis, go ahead while this is loading and just
we'll Tom, you brought, one of the things that we can't stress enough is that, again, when we showed it kind of a good, better, best, I came back to what I said earlier. We can design the perfect plan, but the perfect plan may carry with it a perfect premium. And I've been in this business long enough to know that, boy, it's not often that you come across that perfect prospect. So remember, and Tom gave some very good counsel on this, that the idea of whatever plan you design for them, it's going to have to fit their budget, number one. And number two, giving them some coverage is better than giving them no coverage at all. People today, especially the senior population, many of them they may have looked into long-term care years ago, and they found it was even too expensive back then, and they've given up on that process. But yet they still worry about what would happen if their health were to change. And so the idea that you are giving them, some coverage is still very important, that you can find a plan for any budget. And don't be afraid of selling those smaller plans. I was working with an agent yesterday who was writing an 86-year-old husband, 82-year-old wife in very good health. In the plan design that he chose, he loaded up a little bit more on the facility and home care, but he shortened the benefit period down from a 360 to a 180. So there's lots of flexibility. Look for what it is that is the budget, and then back into it to give them the solution that will fit their needs.
Right. Same thing here. This is this is Manhattan. We have Wellaby. Wellaby actually has a My Enroller site that you can go through and put the state and the zip code. And we'll try to show you one of those really quick too. But since we're over here on Manhattan, if I can find it, you type in the zip code for Manhattan, and Manhattan doesn't have a sandbox like Wellaby does. This is actually the actual login that you'll use when you start going out to do a case. So I'm just going to cheat here. I'm going to put in a 61-year-old. I probably could put in a 65-year-old, but I'm smarter, but bear with me. I'm just doing fast today. So we have training on all this, how to go through and put the effective dates if you're doing an actual enrollment. But what I wanted to show you is how easy it is to do a quick quote. You put in the zip code, your client's date of birth. I haven't even put their name in yet, right? Shows all the products that are available in that zip code. Here's the home healthcare select that we talked about, the home healthcare only plan. Here's OmniFlex. If I click on OmniFlex, it'll say, do you have a spouse? Yes or no? Okay, so there's a 10% spousal discount. I'm going to just click no to be as fast as I can here. Then it goes to quick quote or full quote. If I'm going to do an e-app with my client, I'm going to click full quote, and it's going to get into all the health questions. And again, that's a different training for a different day. But if I go to quick quote, I just want to show you how easy this is to design a plan. Now I put my 61-year-old in there. I can slide this over. And one of the things that's nice about this is watch this green number in the lower right. This thing changes all the time to show you exactly. So if I wanted to be Joe Robust, I can go over here and go, I'm going to put a big 360. And I'm going to put first day coverage, or I'll put 20-day, because facilities 20-day a lot. Now I see I'm at $104. I can throw a home health care rider on there. I can throw it up to $300. This is my loaded up plan, remember. I won't go into the hospital indemnity or inflation, but I could do that down here. You can see the dollar amount shows for the lowest amount of hospital indemnity, it'd only be $2 a month. So you can see how cheap it is. But this is how I can see right here for that 61-year-old. I should have put 65, my bad. 360, 20, 360, 0, $142 a month. Now, if they say, well, what kind of, are we looking at affordability? Now, this is what Dennis was talking about, because look at the other, I can do a $100 plan here. And now I can do a $100 plan, and I'm just going to leave it at 360 to start with. But see how easy it is with the sliders and stuff, you guys? Now I'm down to $41 a month for a $3,000 a month plan, which is great for home care, and it'll help with a lot of the costs from the facility. That's still a year-long each, so a 2-year claim potentially. If I started for some reason and said, I really got to scale this down, I can start messing around over here. And I can say, well, I can get you 180 days of coverage each for only $26 a month. My point is, whatever is affordable for your client, if you're doing a screen share, there's times you can come right in here if you wanted to and help design a plan until they felt comfortable using a little bit of your training from our site to know what's going to be most viable as far as coverage. Dennis, do you want to add anything to that? I mean,
yeah, Tom, I think this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the bookends from the low end to the high end. And again, part of our previous training, we talked about the importance of listening, that 70% of the time we should be listening and 30% of the time we should be framing. So when you frame the question to find those budget parameters, it's going to give you the ability. And yes, there is some strength in your sales presence about being able to have an alternative close where you maybe where you want to default to, so you're going to show a higher end option and you're going to show the lower end option, knowing that you may want to default somewhere in between. There's all kinds of sales strategies, but today the balance between logic and emotion, the logical side of that client is going to be what makes sense, what fits into the budget. The emotional side is going to be, well, gee, I want to make sure because we had a family member that had an experience and they ended up paying XYZ amount of dollars. So you need to balance both. But you can see what Tom just showed in a very quick exercise, the power of the quick quote, because again, it's just with the sliders, it makes it so darn easy for you to do this. And some of this, again, can be done in advance. Some of it could be done if you are doing remote selling and you're doing screen sharing, as Tom said. So, and you can view the proposal. You can, if you want to have this available before you actually went out to the interview, a couple different scenarios, that's another approach. the most important thing is everyone is a candidate. This is not like you have to say, oh, well, everyone has to be like Barbara. No, you'll have clients who just want some coverage. You'll have clients who are like David, where they want to make sure that they already bought long-term care, so they're pretty much covered on the comprehensive side, but maybe they want to satisfy that out of pocket. Look for every opportunity. Don't just take it for granted because the client says, hey, my care planning is in place. Probe a little bit, because you may find that you're going to uncover some sales opportunities that you never thought could exist. But now with this training, you now know, just like that 90-day elimination, that's a great strategy to go back to someone who may have bought long-term care 10 years ago. Maybe they're 75 today and they bought it 10 or 15 years ago or 20 years ago, and yet there's a shortfall in that coverage because of that 90-day elimination. So this is the Wallaby that Tom's giving us a quick little demo, and I know we're bumping up against the end of our webinar time, but Tom, I think if you want to finish this up just to show a quick example.
I couldn't find a zip code for Iowa, so I thought just in case. So remember, this doesn't matter whether it's unisex rates as well with here. I'll cheat and just do my 61-year-old again. And I go down here and I update that. And then it'll go down and show me all the things that are available. There's the short-term care. This is called apply.myenroller.com/quick quote. And this is just a way you can go in there, and I'll keep this simple and say no applicant 2, have used tobacco, no. Do you live in the same household with another person over the age of 40? If they do, they get a discount with this plan. So I'll put that on there. Is the other person applying for essential care? I'm put no. And are you or the applicant 2 currently covering applied Medicare sup? Remember, they have a med sup discount on here, an additional 5% discount. If you have a med sup, you can click yes on there and get an additional 5% discount. So very strong. And then you have the preferred effective date and bank drafts and all this over here. But all I'm trying to do is figure out a quick quote today. So for my primary applicant, I'll say they're healthy so they can get the essential care. And I can go down here and easily see how much they can cover. I'll do $300. This is the home care first. Remember the way Wallaby works. If you go to our product training, lots of choices for the benefit period. The elimination period will have 0 instead of 20. And then I can go down here to the return of premium rider. If I wanted to have that, you got to go to our product training, because I can't spend time on any of this stuff today because we don't have the time. You can see we go all the way up to 500 with this one if you wanted to. So you could really knock it out of the park as far as a plan. And I'll do a 360-day elimination. I'll do 20 days again. And I can put inflation on here if I'd like. Remember, just click a button and I can get inflation on there. So I'd have a nice size rider. All this stuff doesn't show, that it doesn't matter. It's not on there. But if I go up here and I go calculate rates, where is it? Refresh, start a new quote. Oh, refresh. I'm sorry, I've been doing too many of these. And it's $140 a month for this plan for the short-term care. So this one doesn't print out illustrations and stuff. This is just a quick quote. But once you get appointed, you can go in and do the same type of deal on their site and have an actual illustration generated for you. Okay.
Wallaby, Tom, is working on some enhancements to this on a solve where you can actually put in what they want to spend, and they'll actually come up with the plan design to make it even easier for you. So there's some good things coming along the lines with Wallaby here in the very, very near future. And so again, GTL site also works very similar as far as the quick enrollment. And you may have your favorite. You may like Manhattan. You may like Wallaby because of the MedSup additional discount because you write a lot of their MedSup. You may like GTL because you write a lot of GTL's hospital indemnity, or you've written their short-term home care. So the key with plan design, I think, as we wrap this up, Tom, is remember again kind of our what we started with. We started with the state availability. We started with making sure who will take the case, the underwriting, and then remember that these characteristics, that factor into the plan design. It's their current age. Those unisex rates really play strong in the short-term care space. So the current age, their current health, and really the current budget. If you keep that in mind, and some of the additional things like, are they a smoker, non-smoker? Are you going to get a spousal discount? Do you want to add a rider? The great thing about these products is they're very easy. They're not complex. There's limited additional add-ons to these products. So they're not very difficult to learn on the product side. And the plan design, you can just see how easy it is to design a plan that will fit your client's budget and whatever their goals and objectives are.
Yep. And the next step is, thanks, Dennis. Next step is up to you guys. If you are not appointed yet with these, contact your marketer. Make sure you get appointed with all the Integrity STC initiative product lines. And again, contact your marketer, ask them, because if you do it, if you nudge your marketer and say, hey, by the way, Tom mentioned something about the fact that I can maybe have somebody on your team that I can go to help with quotes and stuff. You know what? I'm passionate about this. We have a lot of Americans that need help. So I don't mind if you nudge that marketer and then they call me and say, what are you doing? What are you promising people? And I'm going to do my best to say, hey, we got our backup here. Our GoldenCare teams are here to help. But mainly we want to train the trainer and make sure they have some people so we can really be efficient and help you guys out in the trenches, regardless of what marketer you're with. So that being said, this is Tom Randall again, Dennis Reiner, my partner in crime. Want to thank you very much for taking your valuable time to jump on here today, and hopefully you'll join us for another webinar soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
The next step is yours. Contact your marketer for more information and to start offering short-term care solutions to your clients. And be sure to sign up for our other short-term care hot topic webinars.